discussed that we wanted to have one more conversation with more of the board members, really with two primary objectives. One, to make sure that we were clear that everybody fully understands this endeavor. And then two, to specifically look at one item in that inventory list at least, and that's the stadium, and to make sure that there's a comfort level with putting a name attached to the stadium. Not the track and field, but in addition to that. So currently, just to refresh your minds, and I sent out some of this information, but one of the things I sent out was a package. So let me just summarize. Here's the structures that were in the packet that the ad hoc committee has been discussing naming and advertising with. And so it's the stadium, press box, the concession stand, the green gym, the white gym, the green gym concession stand, the white gym concession stand, the green and white gym student sections, tennis courts, natatorium, wellness center, cafeteria, and then there's a package of parking lot light poles in the athletic side and that entrance side. So, for example, when you look at this on paper, you're going to have signs, all over this area, and so people are going to start referring to that structure by that name. So when you see this on paper, what a proposal would look like, it really hits home, and that's really why we wanted to make sure that we understand what we'd be pursuing. So for example, and I'm just making these up, these are not phone calls that have been made, so I'm just adding the names just for to give an example. For example, Grandview Health Press Box, Subway Concession Stand, Souter Chevrolet Gymnasium, American Heritage Federal Credit Union Stadium. These are how these structures would be referred to if they purchased the package as Market Street is presenting. So for example, at a football game, they might say broadcasting live from the Grandview Health Press Box as they entering the game. Or if it's broadcasted on TV, you'd hear that at the beginning of the broadcast. So they are using the name with the structure. The one attachment you have there is I wanted to show you, and this is from me, not from them, so it's truly an estimate, that's my disclaimer, is I do have a 5-year estimated projected revenue there with some assumptions. Assumption would be in year one that we would sell about half of these structures. In year two that we would sell about 2/3 of them, and then we'd be up to 100% sales in subsequent years. So with that being the case, what they do is they subtract off all the expenses there, and these I took from one of the examples that they gave us in the original PowerPoint. So I just used the same percentage for each cost and took that off of our total. And our total of everything in this packet, if we sold 100% of the items, would be $122,000. That's if we don't add any new structures from a middle school or from, we don't decide to put the auditorium on at the high school. We just keep it as is, we don't pull off, we don't add. It's $122,000. So over the course of 5 years, when we pull off our costs, pull off their commission, for 5 years, you see this down in the notes section, there's 6 to 10 years in this 10 years. So for this first 5-year period, you get to about $285,000. In years 6 to 10, I'm assuming, okay, we're maintaining 100% sales, so we go up to about $342. So over the course of 10 years, you're at about $627,594. If we pull the stadium out of that, because that is the most expensive item in there, that's $20,000 a year, so you're about $100,000 down over the course of the 5 and 10-year estimates. So just to give you an idea, I bring that up because Market Street, I think, is still willing to work with us if we wanted to restructure that stadium package. Perhaps maybe just sell the student sections only, or just pull the stadium package completely off. I think they'd still be willing to work with us, I believe. But we would have to know, here's the cost implication or the revenue implication with that. So I guess I wanted to open it up for some discussion, first and foremost, and to answer questions. So I'll be quiet at this point and listen.
I think at the ad hoc meeting, and as Dr. Price said, there were only a few of us there, so that's why we wanted to bring it here, just to have, excuse me, more discussion on it. The biggest piece, it seemed, and not in saying the biggest piece, not dollar-wise, but when you're giving naming rights and changing the name of something, I think the feeling that night was the stadium, because it has more of an ID to it already. It's Hellman Track and Field. We don't. That's what it's referred to. Right now, that's what it's identified as. The gyms, yes, there's the green gym and the white gym, which are not named after somebody, I guess you could say. So the concern, I think, that evening was if we change it to, Giant Stadium or CVS Stadium at Hellman Track and Field, is that the right thing for us to be doing? Should we, that was the biggest question that Mrs. Cullen and Mrs. Yardley were there, and I think that was one that brought a lot of discussion. That being said as well, that you're talking about something that could be, a 5-year plan. So in 5 years, it could go from being CVS Stadium at Hellman Track and Field to Penn Community Stadium at Hellman Track and Field. So you're consistently changing the name. That can happen with the other areas as well. But I think the biggest concern was just with that, IDing of the stadium, because it already does carry a name that was after a former educator, coach here. We don't want to do something that's going to offend people, I guess you would say, in, putting a name on there, trying to raise money for this. So that's I think that's some of what we're looking to get here as well, is some feelings, opinions on that, or just in general on all of this, and that's how the naming rights will go.
So, for example, all the stadiums in Philadelphia, where the Sixers always played, how many times have we had a different bank name on that? So to reinforce what Suzette's saying, you have to be willing to go down that road. With that said, the sponsorships, the companies would get the first right of renewal at the agreement's end, so they would have the chance to extend that, but there's the chance they would not. So yes, the name then could switch on any of these structures.
So by concern, you mean the concern is we don't want to name the stadium?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question right now, and what Dr. Price was saying, do we, when you look at this package as a whole of what Market Street's presented to us, that we can put names on, the various different things, do we want to still include the stadium, or do we just want to pull the stadium out of that and go forward with the rest of it? Which can still be the press box, the snack stand, those things as well. I think it's just the stadium itself.
Can I keep going?
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
So I didn't go to, I made maybe one of your meetings. I think whatever it is we're trying to do, if we bring in someone who's going to run their program for us, or run a program, and we start tinkering around with it, then I think all these numbers don't mean anything to me then, because they're estimates to begin with, no offense, they don't, but, so I'm not going to, I guess I'm not agreeing with like cherry picking or going a la carte, because these guys, that's their business, they're telling us this for a reason. And, it's just, if we're going to try to raise money in the ad hoc committee, and we're bringing people in and we're trying to tell them how to do their job, and then they get to the point where they don't even want to do it, then I think we have to say maybe we've either got to give up trying to recoup some money, or we have to go along with their plan. I think if we start coming up with our own plan, that we've seen what I'm new to it this past week or so. So for the vendor not to want to try to earn their commission, to me was I was surprised by that. And then when I'm hearing what happened, I kind of get it. If I were them, I think I would think the same way. So when you bring the contractor out to your house and you start telling them how to put the cabinets in, that's a problem too. So that's just my opinion.
Okay. That's fine. That's why we brought it here tonight, to get more than 3 opinions. So go ahead, Amy.
Thanks. Well, when this was built, the ad hoc committee was created to raise money with the goal of, I believe, $2 million in 10 years. Is that right? I think right now we have about, what, 40,000. So we're not doing very well by ourselves. So Dr. Price brought in this marketing firm to do this. So we're gonna have to make some concessions. We can't just ask for money and not make a concession to name something. And as far as I'm concerned with the stadium, I don't believe a team's gonna say, Quakertown's gonna say, we're gonna go play Pennridge at the Core State Stadium. They're gonna say, we're coming to play, or whatever, or the Grandview Stadium, we're coming to play Pennridge. I don't think we ever heard them say, we're coming to play Pennridge at the Hillman Field and track and field, correct? We're coming to play Pennridge. So naming that stadium, to me, I think we ought to, we have $40,000, Dr. Price, in our pot of money that we collected after, 3 years? We're not
Roughly
doing very,
correct.
yeah, we're not doing very well. So my vote, I'm throwing my hat into the ring of letting this marketing company go for it. And we live with the names of the buildings. That was our goal.
Anything else? Bill?
No, I concur.
Okay.
I kind of concur with David's thoughts on this.
I mean, understand, this has come up we felt we needed more input. We're not saying, yes, do this, or no, don't do this between the three of us. We're not trying to force an issue.
No, absolutely.
This was the discussion at the meeting, and we didn't feel that 3 board members discussing this and making this decision
Absolutely.
was the proper thing, so.
Agreed.
So that was, I just want to go along with what Suzette said. We all had in the back of our minds what happened a few years ago and the uproar. We might all think it's no big deal. Like, nobody ever says they're coming to the Grandview Stadium. But I think we can all remember what happened a few years ago when we started talking about changing the name of something. And that's why we sort of went, we are not saying this on our own, that we were going to need more.
That's a lot of, and it is, I understand, I hear what you're saying, I understand, and there are certain things that are identified certain ways and others that aren't, and it's the green gym, it's the white gym, it's helmet, that's actually how it's referred to, I think, for, most of the students. I don't know about other schools, it's just referred to as helmet. But again, I think our intention here was to get more opinions on this, and, as well as our intention is not to tread down the path where we were before by
What is
creating a
that?
problem.
What is that path? Poppy Yoder?
Poppy Yoder, when
Yeah, but that
we
wasn't
decided
the
to.
name of the field, that was the location. They wanted to stay
That
at
was the
Friday
name
Night
of the
Lights.
field.
I know, but it was the name of the field, but they wanted to stay at that location. They didn't want, I don't believe they wanted Helmut Field or Poppy Field, did they? Poppy Yoder
A
Field.
lot of the
It was all part of
discussion was about,
But it was
the
the
name
Friday Night
there
Lights
and.
in town that they could walk to.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna dispute
Yeah, I
this,
was
but I
gonna say,
understand.
but it-
I'm
yeah,
not-
no.
It
I
was
think
more
it
than the
was-
name.
But that was part of our
It was
concern.
all part, I think it was all, I think what we learned from that experience, it wasn't just the location, it was the tradition,
And the name.
honoring the family name. The name definitely was part of it, because there was concern that we were, I was accused myself of disrespecting the memory of the person for whom that other field was named, which was preposterous. But be that as it may, I had that in the back of my mind as I was thinking, if we suddenly announced to the public that the name of the stadium is now Grandview Hospital Stadium, there could be a reaction that wouldn't be favorable to that. So it was something that everybody should agree upon.
So were they saying that they wanted to take the old name away? I thought you were going to be whatever at Helmut Field. They're not suggesting, they didn't suggest to change, strip away the name.
That's correct, and the Hellman big sign that's there, the metal banner, right as you walk in, would stay there. So it would be a stadium name in addition to Hellman Track and Field.
But I think you were making the point that eventually the name people would identify it. Remember at the last meeting, you were saying that it could turn over. to-
Either name could stick, sure, just like here at Hellman, it could be referred to as a different name. Can't control that name.
You just can't call it Giant Stadium, please. Anything but that.
Honestly. Steve?
I tend to agree with a few of the points that Mrs. Miller and Mr. Casper brought up regarding it's to try and raise funds, and I don't want to try and tell a business how to run their business. In terms of the naming, it's still going to be Hellman Field. Welcome to Hellman Track and Field, and it just happens to be Quakertown National Bank Stadium. It is located at Hellman Field. So if the goal is to try and raise funds, raise the funds. And it will still, as you said, Mrs. Schmidt, most people refer to it as Hellman Field. So I would agree with it. In terms of how people are going to refer to it years down the road, well, they may refer to it as the Hill. Who knows? Rick, you can make any assumption you want, but try and raise the funds is ultimately the goal.
All right. Anybody else? No? So, I guess we have that answer to that question.
We do.
And I wanted to thank the members of the ad hoc committee that have been discussing this, because they really want to do their due diligence with this and make sure that everyone had input, and so that's to be commended, that we're making the decision together moving forward. So we will give them the okay to move forward with the agreement as is then.
Yes? Thank you. And just to kind of update, just when, can you just speak to, Dr. Price, how they're going to handle it, as you had said at the ad hoc meeting, if and when something is a sponsorship or naming right bought, it will come to us prior to, we still have to approve all of those, correct?
Yes, the board will be presented with a three-party agreement that has to be signed by the sponsor, Market Street, and the board. And so you would have, if something comes through that you're not comfortable with, i.e. a naming right for one of the structures, you would be able to, at that point, not approve it. Hopefully, leading up to that, we would have that discussion, and I would have talked to them. They already have vetted out certain types of businesses that they won't even pursue. That's part of the agreement with us. They would not pursue a tobacco company sponsorship, for instance. So we're not even going to see those. But for some reason, if there's something you're uncomfortable with, you're going to have the board approve every contract.
Okay, thank you.
I just have, are we gonna see the package that they're sending out before?
The package they'll send
The
out
sample,
to
yeah.
a sponsor, similar to what was brought to the ad hoc meeting, I believe is what Mrs. Yardley's asking, that,
Typically, you wouldn't see every one of those before they go out, no, because I think they're constantly building packages and working with businesses. We can certainly ask them to send us a sample of how it would look.
like
for
a
business
template, and
with
then a
our
business
perks
name would
and
be
so forth.
basically a template of what it's going to be, minus whatever business name is input into it.
Yes.
Because I think there were just a few questions about the sample that was brought to the ad hoc meeting, and a few of the items.
We could ask them to send their first marketing packet that would go to business out to us.
Right,
For
before
us.
they send it out. Right, yeah, it's especially the things that relate to what we have control over, as far as the announcements.
Yes.
And the events that
The
you put
events.
out on campus and things
Yeah.
like that.
So, okay.
We can do that.
All right, thank you. So that ends the facilities portion. Any public comment? Okay, we will go to finance.
Okay, we're going to end with public comment and then start with public comment. Any public comment on agenda items? The Pennridge School Board welcomes public comment. According to policy 903, we remind everyone of the following. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise specified by the board. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and note their name and municipality. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer rather than to individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. The speaker may speak once during each comment period. Please note that these sessions are designated for comments. To protect the confidentiality and privacy rights of all members of our community, the board encourages members of the public to direct any comments regarding particular individuals, such as students, district employees, direct those privately to the superintendent or other appropriate administrator, or to communicate with the board privately by sending an email to psdschoolboard@pennridge.org. Questions raised and not addressed may be followed up at a later time.
I think it takes you 5 minutes to tell me I only have 3 minutes. Sue Furlong from West Rock Hill Township. I was looking at the budget information being presented to the public, and the leftmost column is the 2015-16 final budget. Excuse me. And it shows revenues of $123,965,000. So we'll round that, $124 million. Actual came in at $127 million revenue, for a variance of $3 million. For expenditures, what was presented the other night to the budget, to the public for the budget, was 2015-16 expenditures of, a rounding, $127 million. Actual, per the audit, came in at $120 million for a variance of $7 million in spending. We spent $7 million less than what was budgeted. So we have $3 million more in revenue with the actual and $7 million less in expenditures. That is a $10 million swing from what is being presented. But yet that is the foundation of showing. Then we go to the 2016-17 final budget to 2018. What that means is actual spending in 2016 was $120 million. We are projecting $133 million for 2018. So in 1 year's time, from 16, okay, skip 17, we don't know what that is, and now to 18, the actual to the budget is a $13 million increase in expenditures. If we are increasing our expenditures at this district $13 million every other year, we have spending problems, and that needs to be addressed. If we don't have spending problems, then we have budgeting problems where we are overstating our expenditures, thus unnecessarily raising taxes. So this needs to be figured out by this board before you go to the wire with a budget that is inflated by possibly $11 million in your expenditures. That's just not fair to the tax-paying public.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move along to the first item, which is program improvement and curriculum instruction. That's Dr. Scheid is going to do that, go over that for us. And then the second part, is that going to be you, Sean?
Thank you, Diane. Good evening, everybody. I am here to present the curriculum budget for next year. Excuse me. As you'll see, I broke the budget presentation down into 3 categories. We start with program improvement, and as you can